Good afternoon. I'm Goodyear's City Manager, Julie Cairns, and as you have now heard, Mayor Georgia Lord passed away yesterday at the age of 83 with her family at her side. Her health had declined after suffering from a recent fall at home. We wanted to invite you here to share more about the impact that Mayor Lord had on Goodyear, the city she fell in love with 25 years ago. We also want you to know more about who she was as a person and why she will be so greatly missed. Today you'll hear from Kimberly Lord Stewart, the mayor's daughter. She's here today along with Mayor Lord's other two daughters, Cassandra Louise Lord and Tiffany Lord Arnaldo. Then you'll hear from some of our city council members. Kim?
No, you guys are gonna help me out here. Here, you can hold my water, because I know. Good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Lord Stewart. As Julie mentioned, thank you. I am the oldest daughter of Ron and Georgia Lord. Sorry. So I'm going to talk with you today about some of the qualities that we know and love about my mother. And the first is, thank you, ladies, for wearing your jewelry and your lipstick, making sure your handbag and your shoes matched. As daughters, the biggest way that we could rebel against my mother was to do none of those things. However, right before she died, she did walk us through how to wear makeup. And I think we were thinking of that today as we were getting ready. What did she tell us? What did she teach us? So thank you, ladies, for doing that. I'm going to talk to you today about some qualities about my mother that we all admired. And the first one was her outspokenness. Yes? City Council, right? Yes, I know you're nodding. So my mother was extremely outspoken. If you think she was outspoken, you should have met her mother, Margaret Kotsakis. Margaret was a Greek immigrant. She immigrated from a small village called Endrinitsina, I cannot spell that, in Greece. Just so the media knows, I'm a journalist by profession, and usually I'm standing or sitting where you are, so I'll try to give you as many facts as I can recall, but if not, just ask me later. So Margaret was a single mom. During World War II, she moved her family to a small lake outside of Lansing, Michigan, where she raised her children. She felt that was a safer place to be during the war. In 1946, the State House Representative of Michigan, I think it was, hang on, I have my notes, and Clinton County died unexpectedly. And she decided to run for State House. She had no political experience whatsoever, but she ran. She didn't win, but soon after, she was recognized in Michigan for her desire to get involved in the community. So in 1946, I got my notes here, she was a member of the Michigan Democratic State Central Committee. In 1947, she was vice chair of the Michigan Democratic Party. And I don't think we have a picture. Is that picture up here, Tammy? No, we will get you this fabulous picture taken from Life magazine of my grandmother. That started her political career. My mother went with her everywhere. Quite often she went with her because as a single mom, my grandmother was not allowed to stay in a hotel by herself without a man. So my mother would go with her, and that was her chaperone, basically, throughout junior high and high school. And later, my grandmother became on the executive staff for Governor Williams in Michigan. So she was one of the highest-ranking female political activists in the state at her time. My mother was very supportive of police and fire. Thank you for coming. And I mentioned to you that I'm the oldest daughter of Ron and Georgia Lord. I'm actually the only daughter of Jim Archer and Georgia Lord, my biological father, and he was a Michigan State Trooper. And his brother was a Michigan State Trooper, so that's where that comes from. So that's why she was always ready to support you in any way she could. Her ability to adjust, to pivot, to do whatever was necessary came from being a military wife. We moved, goodness, every 2 years, every 6 months. We were constantly changing, and she learned how to get by anywhere we lived. And I'm going to let my sisters talk a little bit more about her diplomatic life. In Bonn, Germany, my father was the Air Force attaché, and my mother was basically his sidekick. At the time, I was an international flight attendant with Pan Am, so I would pop in and out to help my mother entertain heads of state. I would walk in the room, and I'd walk in the apartment, and she'd put an apron on me. I hadn't even showered. I still had my uniform on, and she'd strap an apron on me, and she'd say, "Get to work. Come on, we have the ambassador coming over, or one other military diplomat. You need to get going." And so I would help out. So, so do you guys have anything to add to that you want to talk about?
Jeff, you want to go first?
No.
Well, we had an interesting life over there. And so Kim was there to help. We were a little bit younger, so we were there to, be dressed up, look pretty, be quiet, and just hand out whatever we had to hand out. So that was great. It was Cold War. It was crazy experiences. We had bomb threats at our home, and every time an ambassador would give us a gift, Tiffany and I would talk into it because the house was swept for bugs, weekly. So we would talk into it to whoever was listening, and then and just kind of move on from there. So it was interesting. Mom was fabulous. She was always, appropriately dressed, and as you guys know, here's your lipstick. You carry it with you. So one of the things that Mom was always on me about was my lipstick. We have a lot of girl power in our family. We're always on it. And so, my mom really left me with, gentlemen, if you've ever read or have not read 5 Languages of Love or The Languages of Love, you really should, because your wives will be just so in love with you or further in love with you. But mine is time together, which I equate to touch. And so the things I really remember about my mother was a charm bracelet that was always jingling as she ran her hands through my hair. And there was always a pat on the back or a hug or a touch somewhere. And I know that she's done with that with you all. I know early on in her career she had to stop touching so many men because we're big touchers. So finally, I'd just like to share with you her piece of advice for all of us really was lipstick on, shoulders back, chest up, walk out and own that room. And so that's what I will always remember. Go ahead, you.
How do I follow that? I would say my memories of, my memories of my mom probably stem from being much younger, but sports. I always remember her at every single game, and I always remember her being the loudest, and we would be, "Stop it, Mom, quiet." But she never did, thankfully. And so I remember all of her support throughout schooling and throughout our sports. Like Cassie was saying, definitely girl power came from her. Everything that I have been able to accomplish and succeed through the military, through teaching and everything like that, I've always told my mom it's from her, not from the military side of Dad, but really from her stepping up into these shoes and being able to be a force with whatever I'm doing. So that's what I always think for my mom.
We'll have so much more to share with you at the celebration of life. We really will. We just wanted to have an opportunity today to share a little bit about Mom with you all.
And we have some legacy projects that we spoke with her about before she passed, and we'll be sharing those with you at the Celebration of Life ceremony. We can't really reveal them yet, but they have a lot to do with girl power. They have a lot to do with celebrating the lives of women in the West Valley. And so we'll share those with you. January, I think, is what we're thinking about for a Celebration of Life ceremony. So that's about all we have right now, and we can answer questions when everyone's finished. So thank you.
So thank you. It's hard to follow family. So I'm Brandon Hampton. I'm the current vice mayor of the city. I just want to take a few moments to just why we're all here to recognize the life and legacy of Mayor Lord. So that legacy, it was very strong in the West Valley. Ever since I grew up here at the West Valley, and having her as our mayor, it was she did a lot of things for the community. So it was very rewarding to see her do those things. And then wow, get emotional. So yeah, she was a great mentor as well, and just really committed to the city. So I apologize. My family was very excited and proud of her as well, and my daughter especially. She looked up to her, and so she'll be really very missed. So to the point of, I guess what Ron used to always say, so fly safe, and looking forward to seeing her in the future. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Joe Pizzillo. I'm on the Goodyear Council. First and foremost, the Pizzillo family considered Georgia a true friend. There's times we've gone out to dinner. In fact, I got in this business through Georgia, and I got to work with her both as staff and on the city council. When I retired in '08, I was the chief budget officer. And I went to Georgia, and I said, Georgia, you don't think there'd be any value in somebody with my background being on council? She said, yeah, I'd love to have you. And that's what got me started on this, Georgia, giving me the encouragement to run for city council. We walked the neighborhoods of Goodyear, knocking on doors, doing various campaign activities. And, and I remember a lot of great times with her, and I'll explain more. And the daughters already know what I'm talking about when we do the celebration of life. But just a little piece. When we would go out to dinner, Ron and Georgia, and agreed, Georgia was always dressed to the hilt. There was never a hair out of place, the lipstick, the dress, classy all the way, okay? So we go out to dinner, and we're sitting there at the dinner table, and Ron orders a margarita, and my wife orders a margarita. And every time we're talking and my wife's turning, Ron's taking a spoon, and he's pouring his into my wife's drink. So halfway through there, my wife's going, I know I'm drinking this thing. And every time she turned around, Ron would take that spoon and pour it right into the margarita. Well, at the end of the day, she was feeling pretty good by the time we left that restaurant, and Ron was having a good old laugh on all of this. But I'm really going to miss those times with Georgia. She's truly missed. And I know right now, Georgia, say hi to Ron for me.
Well, I'm Sherry Loretano, and I'm on our city council, and the only reason I'm here is because of Georgia. I met her about 18 years ago when I sat on the city center committee. I was pregnant at the time, and my kids have grown up. When an opening came up on council, I got a call from her who said, hey, have you thought about being on council? Have you thought about trying that out? And I did, and she mentored me through the campaign, and she was just wonderful. One of my favorite memories, she always used to bring cookies at Christmas time, these lemon cookies. I never got very many of them because my kids ate them before I usually got them to them. But we had over for Christmas her and Ron a couple of years ago for Christmas dinner, and she brought this great apple pie. And what you all were saying, she just kept everyone like enthralled about their stories about their spy time when they were writing little things on their in her pocket. She said, I can write in my pocket. I took a pen and I'd write little notes in my pocket, and I kept information about that. I know we will miss her greatly. I will miss her greatly. My family sends their condolences. Like I said, my daughter grew up with her being on council and seeing her at events and everything. But I know she's with Ron, and I know they're dancing and they're looking over us. So thank you, and God bless you.
Well, my name is Wally Campbell, and like Joe and Sherry, Georgia recruited me to be on Goodyear Council. She called one day and said, hey, I want you to run for my seat. I'm resigning, and I'm going to go be the new mayor. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, only if you promise to help me. And that started our love affair. But before then, I had met her about 20 years ago. We both lived in Pebble Creek. And she's such a dear, close friend. And we're going to miss her, but she was so wonderful. She was a confidant, she was loving, she was gracious. And the thing that set her apart from all the mayors that I know, she got all the accolades and wonderful recognitions, but she always said, it's because of my council, my team, and my city. It was never about Georgia, and that's why she was so unique and why we love her so. But her legacy will always live in this city because of what she did and what she believed in. And we are going to miss her. And we're in red in her honor. And I will share that I was so grateful to be with her the last couple of days. And on Saturday, I think it was, when I went in to see her, and I said, "Hey, Georgia, it's Wally." And she opened her eyes and said, "I don't have my lipstick on." And I said, "That's okay, honey, I don't either, and my hair looks terrible." But that was the thing that I remember her, because she always made me check my lipstick and make sure I had the right color purse and the right color shoes and my Kleenex. But we loved her, and we love you girls, and we're going to miss Georgia. But we'll never forget her. She'll always be in our heart.
Yeah, I want to bring this up, but I don't want to go too far. I'm Bill Stipp, one of the city council members here as well. I had to take the time to write my remarks down just to make sure I keep myself on track, because I think we all have a million stories about Georgia and what she's done. So, but I know that Georgia loved things from what she referred to as the old days. So I thought I'd start with a quote from Mae West. She said, "You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough." And I say, boy, Georgia did it right. Like many of us, I've been hearing from people all across the valley who are expressing their love of Georgia Lord. I've been fortunate to hear from former mayor's assistants and others who work closely with Mayor Lord, and I'd like to share a few of their comments with you. One said, "When her predecessor resigned, Mayor Lord was so passionate about the need for leadership. She is few among my gender who I believe truly understood that women can lead without leadership being about being the first female mayor. She instinctively had the understanding that leadership is not about gender, but about strength." Another person said, "I still remember one day she told me, if you must choose between being late and being put together, always choose late." And then finally someone said, you find few people who loved and cared for this city more than Georgia Lord did. On a very personal note, Georgia cared for all of us on council, really as her extended family, and always treated me like a son, trying to hold me accountable when I didn't want to be held, giving me advice about my kids, and sometimes expressing her disappointment for my own good. I'm sure no kid wants to hear, "I'm doing this for your own good," but she always did. I didn't resist the attempts to always protect me from myself, which she tried to encourage me to do. But like a good child does, I always came back around to support and encourage her on the rare day that she actually needed it. We're sad because we miss her and we grieve our loss, but we should rejoice in the peace that she had these past few days. And I want to close with a sentiment that I received having now lost both of my parents. Missing someone is never easy. And let's face it, as well-meaning as most advice is, it never seems to resonate in those moments when we're feeling really low. But one recommendation really stuck. When you're missing someone, when you wish you could have one last dinner with them, one last phone conversation, one last hug, try to do your best to turn that into gratitude. Think about all the moments you had together, how wonderful they really were. It doesn't work all the time, but when it does, I know I have found that it brings a sense of peace, and it reminds us of that their presence meant so much more to us than their absence ever will. People leave our lives often far too soon, but their memories never do. Forever in my heart, I thank you, Georgia.
Hi, my name is Laura Cano, and I have been scrolling through social media ever since the news broke of Georgia's passing, and by the way, she certainly is trending. And I have enjoyed reading about her and hearing about her through the lens of multiple points of view. And whether it's a Goodyear resident, a colleague, a business leader, or even up to the governor, what people say about Georgia is as consistent and authentic as she was in life. And it's awesome to see somebody so honored so publicly. As a brand new council member, she took this shaky person and sat me down more than once and told me how to buck up and navigate this world of being a city council member. She was always an encourager. She was always for me, and I really treasured that. I know that she has done amazing things to set Goodyear on a good course. We have a good future. She's done a lot to get us established. And I also know that heaven was rejoicing when she arrived, and they said, well done, good and faithful servant.
So many common themes. Mayor Lord was the city's cheerleader. She passionately loved Goodyear and our community, a community she served with all of her heart for nearly 2 decades. It was only weeks ago she was asked, "What do you want your legacy to be as mayor?" And she said, "Everything I do is for the people of Goodyear." If you had a chance to see the mayor out and about, it could be at a council meeting or the grocery store, you know what a people person she was. Recently, a Goodyear police officer shared with me that more than 20 years ago, he met the mayor and her husband while they were out posting signs. He was so honored she always remembered his name and sought him out to chat over the years. She loved meeting and talking to everyone, but didn't mince words. When you spoke with Georgia Lord, you knew she was speaking the truth and speaking from her heart. We've talked about it. She was always so poised and put together. And even as recently as a few days ago, she had on her lipstick. And I knew then that she would handle this journey with the same grace that she lived her life. I have often said, and it remains true today, I want to be Mayor Lord when I grow up. It has been my great honor to have served with her and to have experienced so many special moments, laughter, and milestones together. As the 9th fastest growing city in the nation, we recently surpassed 101,000 residents. And just a few weeks ago, we sang Happy Birthday to Goodyear for our 75th anniversary alongside 5,000 of our community members at the place she envisioned for so long, the heart of Goodyear. This coming summer, Goodyear Civic Square will finally open, and you can bet on opening day, while Mayor Lord won't be there in person, she'll be there in spirit, and all of us will be so grateful for all she's done over the decades to get us to that moment. I'm a better person for having known Georgia Lord, and I'm blessed to have her now watching over me. So I'd like to open it up for any questions that anyone might have for the family, myself, or any of the council members. Please.
Mayor Lord was one of the oldest mayors in the valley, so I'm wondering, a lot of people at that age are looking at retirement. What kept Mayor Lord going and motivated Goodyear?
Would anyone like to? Please.
So before Mom passed, she said, I'm 83, I know I have to accept that I have to leave sometime. But she said, I'm not really ready to go. And she said it was the city of Goodyear that kept her going. And all the people she worked with, they were her extended family. And that is what kept her going at 83. And as a woman who's approaching retirement age, I can say that she has set the standard for me to say, why should I retire? Why should I stop working? And I think every woman out there should consider the same. There is no expiration date on making a difference. Thanks.
And she wanted more than anything, and Rosalva knows, she really wanted to complete her term. It was her goal to be over a council meeting at our new city hall in our new council chambers. But to have seen her on the anniversary at the Civic Square Park, taking pictures in front of the Goodyear letters, she knew what a special place her vision had helped to create. And she wanted that more than anything, but I think we all know that she'll be there with us when we do open those doors. Any other questions, comments? Well, as the family said, we're all available to, provide information. The mayor had this incredible life. She had incredible stories, and we're looking forward to being able to share them in more detail at her celebration of life. And we'll be providing more information as soon as that's available. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. We do not yet have a date. We are looking, we believe, according to the family, it will be in January of 2022. Thank you, and God bless Mayor Lord.